We live in a post-Smash Bros. Ultimate world, which is to say, every fighting game nowadays will always be compared to Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, and it is a pretty fucking steep uphill battle. Ultimate will probably forever hail as the hallmark of just how much content you can fit into one of these games. You might think Ultimate might as well have killed the competition for the platform fighter genre, but from what I can tell, there's still a decent amount of variety. Brawlhalla still gets a ton of casual play, and Rifles of Aether has tournaments with a decent amount of popularity, and I'd be remiss not to mention Melee and how that is still thriving without an Evo spot. But one game has fallen to the wayside, and I'm not sure if it's out of the game's quality or just the saturation of the market, and that game is a little game known as Brawlout. Let's begin. As with many people in that year period between Ultimate's reveal and the Switch's launch, I was very thirsty for a Smash game I could take with me on the go. So when Brawlout came to the eShop, I bought it for $20, and at the time I remember being pleasantly surprised with the game. Featuring a decent amount of unique fighters and gameplay that was reminiscent enough of Smash, it was a decent substitute, but I kinda fell off the game and I can't remember why, so I guess this review will be a revisit for me. This is the part in the video where I would go over the plot, but there isn't really one that is integral to the game. Characters have little lore bios on their pages and cute little dialogue in the game's single player, but there doesn't seem to be any real motivation for these guys to fight other than because they can. The only tidbits of these character stories you really get are the endings to their single player modes, which is like a 3-sentence blurb with some art. And to be honest, it leaves a little to be desired. As shown before on this channel, I usually don't care for most stories in games as long as the gameplay holds up. But some of these characters' bios hint at a world that could be interesting to know more about, but as usual for games for this, the story is just a means to justify the existence of these characters and not much more. Another thing that leaves a lot to be desired is the visuals. It's not bad per se, but watching it in motion, there's not much originality or character in the animation or the art style. The art style feels hopelessly generic, as well as the animations, with the exception of the guest characters, who I'll talk about later. The characters aren't generic, but they're far from memorable. I forgot a ton of the characters when I came back to this game. However, the guest characters, they're kind of Brawlout's saving grace. These characters and their respective stages are loving 3D recreations of their source material, and seem to have better animation, more original animations, and better original movesets. Juan, the Beheaded, the Drifter, and Yuka and Lele all serve as the shining example of what this game studio is capable of. Credit where credit is due, however. This is one of the only Smash lookalikes that has come out that is actually completely 3D animated, so they get brownie points from me. The gameplay of Brawlout serves as what I like to call Diet Smash. It has the Smash Bros. Formula, attacks that can be charged, special attacks, dodging, yada yada, with a few key differences. First of all, there's no shielding or grabbing, just spot dodging and rolling with the buttons that would normally be doing it. Secondly, you can now do another extra special attack if you combo it with your jabs. These don't shake up gameplay too much. The main difference between the gameplay though is the rage meter. Using this, you can use a one-time save your ass button as a combo breaker, or charge up slightly longer and activate rage mode, giving you buff defense and knockback. This serves as a thing to differentiate the two games, but ultimately it's not a game changer. I rarely use it, and I rarely see anyone besides the computer use it. It's very easy to forget about that small feature. Another thing Brawlout does fairly differently from Smash is that it really focuses itself on the competitive side of things. The game features fairly simple stages that are mostly just a few platforms with maybe something cool happening in the background. Many Smash stages feature stage hazards or gimmicks to work with, and what few stage gimmicks Brawlout has are very mundane and trivial compared to what Smash has. But for a lot of players, they turn off the stage hazards or play on other stages with more competitive lockdowns, so I guess it's just a matter of preference. I happen to like the less competitive stuff in Smash, so seeing Brawlout basically only follow competitive stuff is a bummer. It uses melee as a foundation, including wave dashing and faster movement speeds, but looking at the gameplay of this game, something tells me by focusing on speed, they lost a little bit of the fluidity in animations. The game looks nothing short of janky in motion, especially so with 4 players. This game has 2 main single-player modes. There's the Trials, which feature a decent amount of randomly generated content and minigames to go through, and then there's the single-player Ladder, which is basically a Mortal Kombat Tower-esque adventure, this game's classic mode per se, which has small tidbits of dialogue and an ending cutscene. Cutscene in very large air quotes, as it's just a few pieces of art and some text. The downside to both these modes is that having more than one enemy on you is downright unfair at times. The AI seems to know just how to combo you to oblivion so you die faster than they do, and it often requires cheesing if you're going to go for the harder difficulties. The online is also lacking. At least with the Switch version, it takes forever to find a room. However, this is kind of expected with Ultimate out on the same console, so I'll give this one a pass. As for the characters, they're what I like to call perfectly adequate, but nothing special, with the exception of these four. The original characters Brawlout has are really nothing all that great. They serve as decent playable characters, don't get me wrong, and I wouldn't be as disappointed if the game was only original characters, but the four guest characters from other indie games are all far more unique and have more interesting character gimmicks than all of the original ones. Like Juan, for example. His shtick is that he can't charge smash attacks like the other characters, but rather charge his specials instead. These characters have more thought put into them than others do. The original characters kind of feel like attempting to recreate Smash characters' movesets with new models, but the guest characters feel special and handled with care. It makes me hope this game gets a ton more guest characters in the future because they really are the peak of this game. You can tell they're really proud of them because they started incorporating the guest characters more and more into their marketing. When I first played this game like a year ago, the Drifter was my main. He was the most overpowered character and had a very versatile moveset. Nowadays, a few much needed nerfs to the Drifter later, I play mostly as Juan. He has more flair and feels more rewarding when I kill with him. He's also one of the only characters that has a traditional grab. But the original characters, I am hard pressed to even try and play them because they really just bore me in comparison. Also, half the main cast is clones of the original characters, just giving me less reason to want to play them. And lastly in my complaints, the progression system. Every unlockable in this game, including characters, taunts, profile pictures, is locked behind a games industry favorite, a loot box. And what may be seen as a plus is actually a huge negative in my eyes. You can't even buy these things with real money, so you have to grind in-game to unlock a chance to get a costume you might want. There's no repeats, so that's a plus, but it just feels like a slog no matter what. Individual characters all have their own level in this game. In theory, this is cool. Unlockables tied to each character, so if you have a gold skin on your Drifter, everyone knows you maxed him out. Something like that, if done right, adds a ton of playtime and encourages you to play everyone. I'd love something like that in Smash. However, Brawlout's version of this is painfully slow, and makes you resent every new character added to the game. It takes a stupid amount of time to unlock all the characters. So much so I was forced to use a glitch when I first got the game to get them all. Now it's a bit better, but still far from amazing. I feel demotivated to even attempt playing the game sometimes just to how much of a time commitment it would be to get everything in it. On top of other issues, it just snowballs into experience that has been done better a million times over in other places. So, when I picked this game back up again, I expected to hate it. After being blessed by Smash Ultimate and every other Smash clone that has come out these past few years, I really thought this one was going to be horrible. But I came back to a game that had done so many things right, had so many cool ideas, but randomly sidestepped everywhere. I had a good time revisiting Brawlout, and that's why this game gets a 6 out of 10. The foundation is there, but it just needs to be perfected by a few changes. However, I will say, this game is constantly being updated by the devs. Even post-Ultimate, they're supporting it. So I might revisit this if they ever fix problems I've had with it, or possibly when they add another new guest character. Now, between this, Runbow, Rivals of Aether, and now Indie Pogo, I have to figure out which one does the whole Indie Smash Bros thing best. See ya!